Oh, hey, Jake. I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry I haven't gotten you anything, but I haven't really produced anything worth sharing just yet.
Yeah, I've been checking. You must see me see that I've checked in and looked at it a few times, but
Well,
yeah, I
no,
just keep checking to make sure.
yeah, well, that's another problem is I can't get into Teams right now for some reason. Um, my campus email won't let me because they have it locked out. So
So
it
yeah,
goes it's through Gmail, but it goes through the campus, and for some reason they have to enable it. So I've been trying to use my personal one to get in.
and I tried to download it and just use it strictly from my computer, but it won't allow me to do it. I always have to go back to the email and log in that way.
Hmm.
And I don't know why, but it is what it is. I'll still, I'm still able to get in and look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hello.
It's one after. Let's give them a couple more minutes here.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Not too bad. How
All
about
right.
you?
Pretty good.
Doing well.
Good.
I was kind of waiting on Steve and Sheila, but
Okay.
and Dr. Rice. I don't think John's going to make it tonight. He said the hotel they're in was having really spotty Wi-Fi, so that's why he wanted me to go ahead and send out that link. And
I'm gonna see if I can try to touch base with Sarah.
okay, sounds good.
Sean, can we go ahead and get started? I know that you have the Microsoft Team Access is the very first thing on the agenda. The bylaws are next, and I guess we can kind of go in and out as far as what's on the bylaws. It's
Yeah,
just that I'm gonna be kind of on and off, so I want to get my little part as far as the bylaws.
sure. Yeah. So the first thing I was looking at was Microsoft Team, and what brought that up is I'm having trouble getting into it. So I didn't know if anybody else was having trouble accessing
Yeah.
that.
I wasn't able to access it. I tried. And,
Okay. Are you using a company email?
No, I'm using my personal email.
See, mine was a work email and it bounced me out. So now I got to get a invitation from him, I think, to my personal email. Yeah, so I haven't been able to get in there either. So
Is expert on this Microsoft thing, as he has all the background. Anyone else on here that has experience dealing with this?
anybody got in there okay?
I haven't.
I know
tried
I
it.
was able to download it, but it was saying I need to find a team. So
Yeah, that's what mine said too.
Mine did too.
I tried to
and I didn't
use
know how to go about finding the team. So I was able to download and everything, but I didn't know how to find the team to get it to join.
Yeah, I was having some trouble too. So
I
we'll
tried
see
to use
what
my
we can
work
do.
email as well and wasn't able to get in either.
Yeah. So, well, we'll talk to him and see if we can. It sounds like it's good. I don't know if you've used Docs that much, but with Google Docs, you can't. It converts everything over to their format and then back, and I don't know. But okay, well, that was the first thing I thought we'd kind of discuss, and then, next one up was the bylaw committee, and I didn't know if you guys had a chance to look at that document and what you thought about that.
Well, I think that the articles that John has sent to us was actually 11, but really 7 was missing. So it's actually just 10 of the articles. I think they're very good, but I think that we have to go through those and kind of get a better understanding of what they're asking. If we're going to be able to use these bylaws as talking points to individuals that we're get to join. I think everyone needs to actually go through each and every one of them and kind of get a better understanding of what is asked, just in case someone may have some questions. Like I said, it's basically 10 articles and dealing with membership, the meetings, the aspect of meetings, the board of directors, meeting of the board. Like I said, Article 6. Oh, that's what it was. Article 6, I think, should actually be Article 6 should be Article 5. And then it's the Article 8 is actually missing number 7. So it moves everything up. So if you get a chance to go through them and scrutinize them as much as possible, because this is what our Bible is. And we got to make sure that it fits what we're trying to do.
Yep, I see that. It goes right to from 6.3 to Article 8, co-op equity.
Right. So we're missing is one missing, 7 is missing, but we can just move it up. And because I think he kind of patched them for co-op bylaws. So what I see is that we need in order to at least get this thing started. But I think that we really have everyone's input, and everyone actually needs to read these in great detail if we're going to have this our laws, our policies, but our bylaws.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe as we're going, we could kind of keep track of the questions people ask and then use that as a fact sheet, of most common questions or something.
Yeah.
So I think John has a meeting. So it'll be you and the mayor that are on that one, I think.
Yeah, me, Mayor, and Sheila.
Sheila's also okay. Good. So I'll try to join you guys Thursday, but then maybe we can get into some more detail about it on next Monday. Talk to them a little bit on what you guys decided.
Yeah, but we're really needing everyone on the steering committee to actually again read through every part of this as our foundation. So if it's a stuff point, everyone needs to kind of understand. There's some things kind of questionable that I saw in there, and I think that we need some clarification, such as the there's going to be a compensation for a board member. You know,
I
those are
saw
some
that.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some things that probably need to be discussed in detail when it comes to the process of voting and everything else that's part of I think Article 3 with the meetings. We really need to flesh that out and make sure that it's up to standards again for as far as what we're trying to do.
Right.
What I read is pretty detailed. I don't know if there's any way out on some of those. You just want to make sure you're covering up all the loopholes and making sure it's not an issue. And so once you get a chance to read it, and if you have any questions, I think that you just write them down, and then before Thursday, then just kind of send it to John. That way we can kind of deal with it when we meet on Thursday. And then Monday we can have a fresh start, and maybe we can even kind of vote on what we want to keep in and what we want to pull out.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And if anybody else, other than just that committee too, if you guys want to take a pass through it, because like Gabe said, we all kind of need to know what's going on in there, just to keep everybody honest. And then if you have questions, maybe even just email them out ahead of time, and they can try to answer them on Thursday and get back to us on Monday as well. Okay. Next up, I had Finance Committee, and I don't have a lot of update on that, unfortunately, but what I do have is we've reached out a little bit to lawyers. Now, there's one here in the state who's with Illinois Stewardship Alliance, and I have a lot of connections with them. One of them is on my board. I'm on their Buy Fresh, Buy Local board. I don't know if she's still actually practicing, but she's a really good lawyer, has a degree from Northwestern, and knows a lot about co-ops. And then I also reached out to a fella in Minneapolis who has a really good reputation, named David Swanson. He's in Minneapolis, but he's one of those guys that specializes just in co-ops, so he's aware of most statutes in different states. So hopefully he'll get back to me quickly, and then I can report back as to what we found and how much it's going to cost, all that good stuff. But we really need to get going. A little bird told me that I should be looking for some information one way or the other on our R3 grant pretty quick. So I hope that means that we have a good chance at it. But I think so. And what that would mean is, and we need to look into leasing that building right away, or at least, maybe Mayor, if we could get you to talk to Tabitha about that, and then we can have everything in the works ready to go.
Okay. I'll do that.
Also, I passed by there today, and the glass is out. I guess maybe the storm from the wind from the storm the other day may have knocked it out. It's a pretty big chunk of glass that's missing on the front
Oh.
where the double doors are.
Where the double doors?
Yes,
Okay.
the big window to the right of that.
I'll go by and take a look at that. Thank you. Let me know.
Uh-huh.
You came to the right guy. He's also on that board there, so he can help us out with that part. Yeah. So he knows right who to call there.
Okay.
So that was just about all I had there in terms of, possible grant writing assistance. So as part of this thing that USDA is doing in the state, it's something they're calling an equity project. And Cairo is one of the communities that they've determined that needed additional help. There's 10 in the state. And so they asked me to write a grant that would get one more person to help with that. And what that might do for us is get us a grant writer, which would be great, because then they would be focused just on projects this co-op wanted to do for at least a year. So I think that would be fantastic help, because there's quite a few things out there. And as long as it's a co-op development grant from the USDA, but as long as the co-op is interested in it, it counts. So whatever you guys think is worth doing. So Gabe had that idea the other night of possibly fitness center kind of thing. that, the equipment for that kind of thing might be in there in a grant somewhere. And this person would help us apply for that. So that's about all I have for finance. Let's see. Design committee. I know you guys haven't had a whole lot to get started on, but with that R3 grant, our initial budget there would be about 8,000 for just signage, things like that. So, you could start looking at different things. And then if I can, let me see if I can share my screen here. We'll see how this works. I was in Carbondale not that long ago for all of about 18 hours. And but I was able to take quite a few pictures there, and I talked to Francis, the manager, and he said, yeah, he'd be glad to come help us. But so this was their deli. I don't know if you can see that okay.
Yeah,
But
that
thought,
looks nice.
But this is the kind of thing, like they went with purple. I don't know, it looked nice, but I never would have thought of that. And then they did these lights across there. That's some of what their signage looks like. Let me kind of bounce.
I was kind of thinking of maybe a kind of a mustard color with a rust color possibly, but I haven't talked to Maria or either Sarah. But I know I talked to Sarah last week, and she was willing to go up there and take some pictures so everybody could look at the pictures on the inside of there, since Maria's at work and I'm at work most of the time.
Okay. Yeah, I took quite a few. It was a youth conference that we were on, and so for co-ops, but it was agriculture, but we went through here. So this was all they had for their meats. This was just 3 freezer doors, and then some fresh over here. But that particular co-op, there's a lot of vegans and things, so I don't think that's really their big draw. For us, it's a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it don't matter. Mustard is pretty. I was thinking blue for pilots, but whatever we can come up with.
So this was, I think, Gabe and Rodney had come up with the idea of having a place inside where we could highlight local businesses, and they actually have that here. It's a little small, but that's all artists in the community that have done that. So it's all small businesses. So they're actually kind of doing that. They work on a commission, I think, is how they decided. But when we get going, we can ask them a little bit more about what they did. They do a lot of bulk stuff, and I didn't know if this was something folks might be interested in. It's cheaper, and of course for them it's they're looking at environmental packaging and stuff. I'm looking for cost efficiency, but I thought that might be something to think about anyway.
It would probably just a shelf life on it would probably, knowing that would be a big help.
Yeah. Yeah, I took pictures of everything. There's their board members. Even where the bathroom was and what it looked like, but you can kind of see what their color palette was.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, that those 2 colors there.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were we still thinking about I know that the mayor had mentioned about knocking out walls. Were we trying to do that before the deli opens? So that'll be a part of the design now.
That was the wall, John, that was the wall for the grocery store. That one wall is at angle.
Yeah.
About now saying that one has to come out and then has to be squared off.
Yeah, and
so would that be feasible before we trying to open the grocery store? Because if so, that'll be a part of the design.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, and that will be, so that's in that original grant. So as soon as we are able to take possession of the lease of the building, and then that money will be there if we get that grant to take the lease, the money will be there to adjust that wall too, because it's worked in there. So we can hire somebody right away, and they're just going to square that up. Instead of that slant wall, it'll just be square.
I was just trying to make sure that was going to be done before we get the paint and design, and we want to make sure that was done and make sure that we had the money to do that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then this is one of their aisle markers, so you can do a lot of different styles of that, but however you guys think is interesting, or maybe it's something that's designed around pilots or something.
Yeah.
Let's see, just a little signage I took. So they had this counter to look out the window. You could sit there and do a little work on your laptop or whatever, and there are nice windows there, so maybe in the deli part. And then this was the seating area that they have.
I like that seating area.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping.
The
we could
one
do.
against the window too.
Yeah, I like that a lot. This was all they have for a kitchen, but they actually do some demonstrations there. And they have, you can only do about a handful of people at a time, and they can come up and kind of work. But I'm thinking something quite a bit bigger. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of ambitious there, but so they had quite a bit in their deli. I hadn't really planned on this hot bar kind of thing, but that's
Yeah.
something to consider. And that maybe Judy knows more about that stuff than I do.
Well, it'll make a lot. It would make a lot of money. A lot of people like to grab and go.
That's what I was thinking. I have no idea how to run that though, how to make sure I've got my temperatures, and I figure you know more than I do.
Yeah, no, that's nothing. That's easy. It's just having the equipment and having somebody to service things, if something goes wrong.
Right. Well,
No.
hopefully we'll be able to buy new equipment so that, we'll have less chance of that, but yeah. This was their produce area, and I asked him how, what he thought of these open. So their produce area doesn't have glass doors in front, and a lot of the ones I've done lately have. And he said, well, it looks nicer. It's easier to shop. It loses a lot of cool because the air coming out. Now that is small enough. It has its own compressor for that one whole run. Of course, if that compressor goes down, we lose that whole run too. Let's see. Oh, that's the office there. More of their bulk stuff. A blurry picture I took. I was kind of looking here to see where, so their freezers are like that too. Every case system that they have has its own compressor. So he said there's a whole bunch of them on the roof. And that's not what we're planning to do because we don't own the building either. But you can see this tunnel right here is where a lot of that's going through up to the roof.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was their dairy. A little bit of open here, but he said if he had it to do over again, it would all be glass doors because then they don't have to lose that cooling cost.
Yeah, that would be smart.
Yeah.
They use a lot of energy too, doesn't it, Sean? Whenever you have it open like that, because you're constantly trying to maintain that temperature compared to your doors.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we can build that into the wall. If that walk-in doesn't work quite right, we can always adjust it. They had some really fancy stuff. So they've got some wine and cheeses and stuff. That's not really, that'd be great, but I don't think we'll use that much space on it. They actually have 5 registers, which surprised me. I would have thought they could have got by with 3. Again, that's that. I was looking at the coffee section here. So it's really pretty small, but they have a coffee club where you can buy a cup and then it gets you like, I don't know, a certain amount of refills or something. So we could look into that too. So that it works as kind of a gathering point. Their bakery, I thought that was really important because most of the stuff I don't think they baked in-house. They might have finished it off or it came in that way, but something we really want to look at just because it's so profitable. So those are the photos I took, but yeah, I was having a hard time explaining what I thought in terms of design. I'm not only not good at design, I can't explain it really well. But I thought this might give you an idea of what I'm thinking and then what colors, what you guys would like it to look like. So.
Yeah, those were some good pictures though.
Yeah, I got some funny looks. I got some funny looks walking around there taking pictures of everybody. Yeah, and then the lease agreement. So that's all I really had tonight. Has anybody got something they want to talk about, or any one of the committees got stuff that, I know we're getting real early in this whole project, but.
I think you kind of touched on everything when you're talking about the bylaws and looking through those. And then, of course, getting the, I'll get with Tabitha and have to get everything drawn up for us, the lease agreement. Whenever design committee needs to be back in the building, just let me know and I'll get that arranged so you can get those pictures you need, Judy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to Sarah because I'll see if Sarah will get with you because she said she would go in there and take some pictures. She might be a better photographer than myself.
Okay. Well,
and you know that
now, did I hear him say that? Did I hear you say that there was about $8,000 available for the design committee?
Yeah, for that, and that's just in this grant for signage. I know we'll need other things, and that's not including equipment too. So like when we look at that equipment and whatever, we'll need to talk a little bit about that, what you guys want and how we'll lay it out and how that fits with finance. But in terms of overall design themes, and that's specifically mentioned for signage. So maybe aisle markers, front sign for the Rise Market, you know, how we want to do that. I would actually, and it won't be covered in that budget, but I would love to see one of those reader boards out front that we could do public announcements for stuff, you know, basketball game tonight or something like that, that we could, you know, work with the whole community on.
Yeah, this one. Now, is that the final name of the grocery store, Rise Market?
We've been going with that. I think the general consensus is that that's good. If you've got other suggestions, though, we could always put it up for a vote and take a look.
Oh no, I was just asking. I didn't know if that was finalized or not.
It's not yet, but you know, as soon as that guy gets back to me on the legal stuff, for us to take that grant money, we have to have a legal entity, so we'll have to have a name. So once that happens, then it's final. But yeah, and I didn't know, you know, that logo, if the colors would be better, different colors or something like that. We can talk about that too.
Okay.
Or even a different logo altogether.
I did kind of have a quick question.
Yeah.
Would we be replacing the current signage that's already up there, or is that like something that we'll start from scratch?
We'll start from scratch and get our own logo, and that'll probably come out of that first 8,000, that front signage. So maybe that's the best place to start, like what you'd like to see in the logo, and that'll really get a lot of people excited, I think, about it too.
Oh, and then I did have a thought. I really don't know what category this may fall under, but kind of having like an Instacart deal where they could order and pay for their grocery list before they come, and
yeah,
kind of like that.
Yeah, and you know, I got to find some type of software for that. I actually talked to the Instacart guy earlier this year. I ran into him at a conference in Las Vegas, and he's from Chicago too, so we're like really close, actually, close enough that he could come down and talk to us. The only problem with that was they were going to take 10% of the gross profit off the top. So if we're only looking at 25 to 30,
yeah,
you know, and he takes 10. But that doesn't mean there's not a better way to go about it too, you know, just a way of having it on file. It's probably not the right way to go, but the group up in Lynch, Nebraska, what they have set up, and it just kind of happened that way, is they have some people putting money in ahead of time and like a debit on their account, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know why they did that or why they set that way up, but also they are, well, I'm not supposed to announce that, but you guys won't tell you, they are actually going to get this other grant that I thought would be perfect for us, called the Healthy Food Finance Initiative. And that gal got a hold of me about that one, but it turns out through the new announcement, there's a big announcement on Wednesday from USDA about food systems. She's going to get, and get this, she started out at $4 million, and they're going to put $150 million into that program. right now it was just her. She hired somebody immediately and she's got it figured out. But so next year when we apply for, say, the equipment for the kitchen, there's going to be a lot more money out there for it. So, and I'm going to see her later this month at a conference in Kansas. So I'll ask her more about that.
You know,
Yeah,
the pictures
because-
that you showed us of the layout, do you have a roundabout figure of how much they pay for that setup?
For that store?
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't ask him that. Now, of course, they're in that
I'm-
Murdale shopping plaza, so they don't own the building. But it was a big move for them because they were in a little tiny building downtown before that. That didn't look nearly as nice as that one. And he said, so we're looking at 4,000 square feet. They're at about 8, I think. So they're a little bigger too, but a lot of their area, and I didn't take pictures of it, but a lot of it is a health food component. So there's a whole big section in the middle of it that's all kinds of herbal medicines and things like that that we'll replace with food. But
Because I love the setup that they had, and I was just
Yeah.
wondering if it was financially, we were capable of doing something along the lines before October or by October in order to get it open. And I was just wondering if that was possible.
yeah, that's the thing is I know we're going to get that grocery part open. I think it's just important for momentum and so people see all of the signs going to go a big ways doing that. But yeah, you're right. Once you get it open, it's hard to go back and remodel in the middle of being open.
Exactly.
But I put in a certain amount of hours, I can't tell you off the top of my head, for just general inside construction that we can contract out. So that's to take that wall down and put another stub wall up. That would be paint, that kind of thing. So that initial color is one we'll want to come up with pretty quick. And yeah, and then in terms of design committee and everybody, really, we'll look at what that middle section might look like in terms of flow as well.
Right.
When you come in the door and where you go, and yeah.
Because I know everybody's excited and want to have it up and going quickly, but we want to do it right the first time too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's better to miss that target date and do it right than it is to hit that.
Exactly.
But, yeah. So, yeah, and I'll keep plugging away and looking for the rest of that money. But like I said, once we have this articles of incorporation filed and we're a legal entity, then we can start talking to some folks about investment too, if they're interested. And there are a few other things out there for funding that I'm hoping to grab a hold of. So I'm less worried about that than, figuring out all the small details we got to go through first, and some not so small details like those bylaws. So, okay. Anybody else got something they want to talk about?
Well, we mentioned before about the equipment that was in the subway. They took out all of the compartment sinks. There's no oven, there's nothing in there. So all that stuff would have to be replaced.
Yeah.
And I know you were thinking along the small lines of not like deep frying, because I think you said you didn't want to get into stuff like that.
Yeah, the overhead hood's really expensive for that kind of stuff. But, maybe that's what we got to do. I don't know. That's something we should talk about. Or, I've seen some things where, oh shoot, I can't think the name of the chicken, but it has its own small deep fryer with a hood attached. So that would be something that would be all in one unit, which is kind of a neat idea. But because that may be a big one. I know if we had fried chicken around here, my daughter would run us out of business. So she just would eat everything.
I think everybody else would too. It
Yeah.
just would kind of be good for like when we had the store in town, people would have different functions and they would cater the chicken.
Yeah.
And the salads, just to keep from going out of town. Because I know a lot of people now, they like drive to Cape or Sykeston to go to Food Giant just to get the chicken for different occasions.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something that think about.
Yeah, and then down the road, what I'm hoping is we have that certified kitchen. If somebody else in the community wants to start a business or has a business doing that, they could use that certified kitchen, pay us a little bit of a fee to use it, and then they could cater themselves out of that too. And they'd have a place to hold it at the right temperature and all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, I reckon that's it. I did get this recorded for John, so he'll be happy about that. He said he was going to take the notes down, watch it later and take the notes. And of course, he's been putting those all up for everybody to see. And I'm sure once we get the bylaws, we'll figure out how to get that posted. It's a pretty big document, but so that everybody can see that too. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. If nobody's got anything else, I guess head on home.
Okay, you all have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thanks, guys.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Bye.
All right.
Bye now.
Have a good one.